And good afternoon, everybody. Hope my microphone's not too loud here. And welcome to this week's product series spotlight, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, we've featured this model in the past, but it's been a long time since we have, and it's actually a really marvelous instrument. I'll say more about it. Let me get going. I think what I'll do is open up with some Broadway music. I was inspired last week when Kerry did his spotlight. He said, I always like to open up with Broadway, so I'm going to open up with some Broadway today. This has a great Broadway style on it, and I got some great sounds, some presets, and let's go. 3, 2, 1, action! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Woo! The Lowrey EZ-10, everyone. And I use a few little tricks in there. Of course, I use setups. Naturally, we have setups. We'll talk about that in a bit. I used a little bit of the transposer while I was playing in there. But the EZ-10, when it was introduced, in its time, it really just stunned the music industry because it was considered the third model in the line at that time. And a model in this size, in that category, the third model, they had more features and sounds and innovations for an instrument of this size than we've ever seen in previous years. Size-wise, it's very compact, like many of our smaller models. It's somewhere in the 45-inch range across. I don't know this way. The other thing is when you turn it on, you'll notice that it actually has dash lights in there. And what I'll do is walk over and turn the lights off for a minute, and you'll see how it very nicely lights up, even when I made my room very, very dark here. Now, over the years, they've always had great benches. This particular one here, I don't know if you could see it in this picture there. Let's see it go over here. That angle, it opens up. Oh, this is one of those magical benches, folks. It opens up this way, and it opens up this way, too. Oh, it's a two-way bench. Very magical. I can see the looks on your faces. That's a reverse applause. And, of course, when you first power it on, Let me power it up from scratch here. And put the volume back where I had it. When you first turn it on, there are several models in the Lowrey line that don't come up the way that all of the other Lowrey organs have come up over the years. And this is one of them. On the top keyboard, we have beautiful strings. And on the bottom keyboard, you have a beautiful piano. Or you can do gorgeous sounds. We also have, for those who need a little helping hand, well, not only do we have the letters that light up or that are on here, but they actually light up as well. So it makes it a little easier to find the notes. And if you just continue on, that's the power up setting. And now we have 5 general setups that have some of the most gorgeous sounds you would hear. Some of these actually were taken from the larger, more expensive models. Now on the top keyboard, we have a piano with strings and a beautiful vibe on the bottom right here. Now listen. And on number 2, we have a really nice Spanish guitar sound with a flute. And number 3, we have that beautiful, it is a Lowrey organ after all, beautiful rich Lowrey organ tone. And a saxophone. Ooh. You can actually hear the breath. If you hit the note too hard, the guy you could feel the breath coming on you. Oh, let's see what's on 4. Oh, we don't have the 101 strings orchestra. We have the 102 strings orchestra. Finally, on number 5, we have a beautiful tabernacle choir with a chime on the bottom. Now, in case you're wondering, how do I know all of this? Well, like many of the elite models, especially the ones with the touchscreens, all that information, all those presets are in the window. So on here, on our window here, we actually have several things happening that may not be visible with this camera angle. But we have the tempo, naturally, the chord that's being played, and the key that it's in, because it does have a transposer. And then right below it, it says style name. Now right now it says the word style name because I don't have a music style selected. When I select one, it'll tell me. And then right below that, it'll tell me what sound, what preset I have on it'll tell me what sound is programmed on the upper and the lower. So as I was going through those, all I was doing is reading what I was seeing. And then I knew the sound that I was going to get. So we'll get into some of those presets in a little bit. We get into music styles. Music styles is where all the fun happens, of course. And so if we wanted to play some of the wonderful styles like, I'll go to my smooth category. Now, typically, an EZ-10, this is just, like I said, typically, is an instrument that is obviously, if you think of EZ-1, EZ-2, EZ-3, EZ-4, it is the natural trade progression for those models. If someone has a Discovery 3 by SD or Freedom 3, it's a natural trade. So you're going to hear a little bit of the EZ-1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to hear some of the exclusives of the 10. This is a style that is actually on many of the EZ series. It's simply called Heart Songs, and it's a beautiful pianist category. And what we have here is on the instrument, you have 3 performer types, full band, pianist, and guitarist. And I'll explain that in just a bit. When I opened up with Broadway, that was a full band. Pianist is a style of music that over the years, we've heard a lot of people say, you know, I always wish I could play the piano. I'm actually one of those. When I started playing the piano at the age of 15, I tried it. And then at the age of 15, I stopped playing the piano. So that was enough of that. And it takes a lot of coordination. And many people always wish they could, but never will get to do it. It's a very tricky technique. Well, Lowrey introduced pianist categories. And so every one of these styles has a pianist category. And I went over to the smooth button and I hit pianist. And now we have what's called Heart Songs. And each one starts off initially with just a beautiful piano player playing. And then all we have to do is play the melody. Such a beautiful, I don't play that song very often. I was like, oh my gosh, did I pick the right song? Imagine, it's such a great song, and that's a great style for that. So basically you have, on the instrument here, there are actually 12 categories of music. You got standard, country, Broadway, smooth, rock, 3/4, traditional, gospel, Latin, ballad, pop, and mix. And each category has a full band version style of music. Each category has a pianist style of music, and each one has a guitarist's style. And every one of those, if you're using the full band, obviously you have the full band. If you're using the pianist, it'll initially start with just a nice, good piano player without all the drums and what have you. And the guitarist category would do the same thing. So for example, if I put on, well, you know what? I'm going to have a little fun with this one here. I'm going to go to a style here on my ballad, no pop. It's called Guitar Standard, okay? Now when you listen to it, it comes up to a tempo of 140, which is not that fast. And when you hear it, you have a couple ways you can play this. We'll just do a C chord, for example. Beautiful 12-string guitar player playing in there, okay? Do songs like Love Me Tender, what have you. Now, if you take that same style and do a minor chord, I think I heard Dawn do this in one of her classes, Dust in the Wind. Who was the band that did that? Are you familiar with? But if you play the introduction, it actually is perfect for that. So all of the styles have those minors and majors. But here's what I'm going to do with this style. And I learned this from a dear friend of mine, the late, great Mr. Seth Rye. He did a concert for us, and he was playing on the Lowrey Sterling, and he got up and he featured this song by Glenn Campbell, Gentle My Mind. And he went and he played it. I was blown away. I just loved what he did. And then I went up to the organ, and I started poking around on the instrument. I couldn't find how he set it up. I was like, how did you get that? I know it was a guitar style. He says, here's what I did. And he told me the style that he chose, and then he told me what he did with the tempo. And I thought, are you nuts? He says, yeah, it worked. So here's what I do. Take that same style, and I'm going to boost that tempo up to about 200. So if you have this style called guitar standard, and you take the tempo and you bring it up to about 200, 210, somewhere in there, I might have to adjust it a little bit, and do the exact same thing, and watch what you get. Get that guitar picker picking, but don't count it as 1, 2, 3, 4. I taught it in a class yesterday too. Don't count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Kind of like this. And if you want to bring the drummer in, you can. I'm at 210 right now. Woo-hoo. Well, I'm having fun. I hope you are too. And there's a lot of great things you could do with a lot of these styles too. So now moving on, of course, earlier we talked a little about general setups. And this actually has style setup, and it has the 5 others. So we have 6 style setups for every single musical style. And there are 12 categories times 3, so we have 36 music styles. And every one of those has 6 different setups. Well, what's really cool about this, on the Elite models, Lowrey, or I should say Bill, when he programmed many of those presets, if you notice when you put on rhythm preset or style setup, and then you go to 1 or 2, they typically lighten up. They call it easy, or there's not much of it, the band is not as full. It's a little more simplified, or sometimes it's a 3-piece band. And what they did here is the same concept, 1 and 2, always number 1, sometimes 2, and sometimes even the musicians change in the background. So for example, let me put on this style here. This is one of my all-time favorite styles. I take that back. It's one of my all-time favorite styles, like my other all-time favorite styles that I really like. But many people fall in love with this style when it came out. It's called Wonderful World. Now, obviously, when you hear that, we know That's great for the song, What a Wonderful World. But you could have some fun with this style. If I just play it as it is, style setup, you get that classic introduction. Louis comes in. Now, watch what happens when I push preset number 1, setup number 1. The background changes. This beautiful arpeggio going in the background. Now watch this. I'm going to push number 2. Listen very closely. Positions change. Ooh, you know what? You can do songs like this. See if I can remember how to do it. Something like that. Sleepwalk, it works perfect with that. And we go back to What a Wonderful World. Now, one of the most impressive features, and I know you all use it, I use it, we've used it for many years, is called song setup. And in the instrument, I'm going to show off a typical style that a song you can do in a minute, but as I was coming through, I was playing a little bit beforehand, I was going through some of the song setups, and I was just kind of curious what song setups they had, because there's, about 100 song setups in here. And as I was scrolling through them, I went one direction, and it had your typical song titles from A to Z. So you had, Ach du Lieber, Achy Breaky Heart, Alley Cat, A's Amazing Grace, anniversary songs, and then you get into the B's, Beautiful Dreamer. And I went backwards, and I went to the other direction, and before it went to the let's see, Y's, there was several song setups that didn't have song titles on them that I was kind of intrigued by. And they're labeled all in some way or fashion with the word organ on it. So in other words, it says Sweet Lowrey, Lowrey and strings, Full Lowrey, jazz organ. And I was like, in all the years I played the EZ-10, I've never really paid attention to that. And so I started selecting them. And I know why it's on here, because the EZ-10 in the EZ series is the first model that has pedals. Now obviously we don't have to use the pedals to play it, but every now and then we run into somebody that says, I learned to play the organ the traditional way. And I was blown away by some of these song setups. They're really just great setups for organ sound. So I just kind of went through and I went, okay, Sweet Lowry, and I hit select, and that must be the classic Sweet Lowry organ sound. Okay, that's pretty. And then the Lowry and strings. And then we got into full Lowry, jazz organ, and a percussion. Let's see, percussion. Ooh, I feel like Lenny D. I don't know if you know who Lenny D is. Is it a was or is? Somebody will have to tell me. For the longest time, I think it was an is. Anyway, oh, theater soft. This is pretty cool. And then let's see, theater novelty. You know, I don't have a big theater organ pipe where it can come rising out of the ground. So what you have to do when I play this is you have to stand up, and as I start playing, slowly sit down and look at the organ, and it'll appear to be rising. No? Okay. Let's see. Theater full. Ooh. Oh, this is cool. Let's see. Ooh, and then we have some pipe church organ sounds. This is quiet. And this one says pipe big with a choir. So it's a really cool organ song setups, if you will. And then the list just kind of goes on and on. And then if I go into the regular song list, then we have the usual setups that we're used to. And I saw this one here, and I thought, I haven't played this song in a while. That might be fun. Got St. Louis Blues. And what's really cool about this is there's a term that some of us use on some of the models called hidden styles. And those are styles that are not supposed to exist on that particular model, but because of the song setup, it will. So when I use the song setup for St. Louis Blues, it selects a style built in, but it doesn't actually exist on this model, which is really cool. And this kind of works out really nicely. Watch. That's pretty cool. And of course, while I was playing, I had my foot in the expression pedal. So when I had that song set up on, getting those fills was hitting the foot switch. So you have a switch to the right and a switch to the left. One is for your glider sustain, and the one to the right is the fill-in. Now, on that note, show of hands, how many of you use the foot switches when you play, or try to? Show of hands, how many of you do it very well? Okay, some are shaking heads, some are going like this. Some are shaking their heads and they're putting their hand up at the same time. So I don't know how that works. Yes, I can do it well. And and yesterday I kind of taught a little trick on this, and it's a little trick that we've all instructed students. If you want to get in the habit of using left and right foot switches without the volume control, the first tip that we always give is put your expression pedal at 100%, put your master volume down so that when you're playing, that's as loud as the organ will go when your foot is at 100%, okay? Because then what happens is if you're playing at full throttle with your feet, even though it's not 100% volume, you're not going to start, there's nowhere else to go. So if it's sturdy and it's straight, then you could slide left or right without having to try to keep the volume pedal in between, okay? There's another little trick that some of the models have, and the EZ-10 actually has it. And they have a little thing called pedal magic here. And they also have a couple of features with the pedals. And one of them is where you can actually, on the foot pedals, instead of using them as bass pedals, you can turn it into a glide or sustain. Now the Elite models have that feature. There are multiple things you can do with the pedals. And that was a pretty important feature. So now I don't know if you'll be able to see it from there. Actually, let's see if I can tell my cameraman, hey, Mr. Cameraman, can you change the angle? Sure thing, Robert. Let me get that right away. Okay. Boy, that's one of the best cameramen I ever had. He just does whatever I ask. Okay. So I'll do a classic Hawaiian style. Is always great with this. Let's see here. I think, do I have Hawaiian here? Yes. Okay. So we got our Hawaiian. And typically, we would use the switch. Okay. But if that's a little tricky at first, we can tell the pedals here, instead of doing, let me take the pedals, instead of doing it as bass notes, okay, we'll switch it to glide or sustain. Now, if you should know by now why it's called glide / sustain. Is when you have a piano sound on, okay, it'll work as a sustain pedal. So earlier when I was featuring the piano sounds, I was using the switch for it, but it probably would have been easier for me if I put this on there, because I could just, and it doesn't matter which one you hit at that time. You just, okay? Now, when you're using instruments like glide, guitar, certain guitars that bend, instead of sustaining, some sounds, by the way, this is going to happen. I've had people call and say this is not working. Some sounds, like some of the acoustic guitars, they won't bend. So if you use the glide / sustain, it'll actually sustain the guitar notes, the acoustic guitars. It's fun to try it out. Try some of the guitar sounds on your instrument, and you'll see some that glide or bend and some won't. In this case, the Hawaiian guitar, a very awkward angle. Okay. Oh my God, I had to reverse hands. That's not easy. Boy, I didn't know I had to work this hard just to make sure you could see that. Now, the other thing it has is a pedal magic, which means when you activate it, what it'll do let me put back to normal, is it'll actually play the correct note for you if you try to play the pedals. And the idea of that is some people will never play pedals, but let's face it, a lot of us when we're playing, you know, even if we're not playing pedals, we tend to tap our foot, you know, and it's cool. If you use that feature and you accidentally hit a pedal or you intentionally do it, it'll take whatever chord you're doing and it'll play the correct note in there for you. So a lot of great little features to make it simple. It's kind of like a fake it button that the instruments have. Now, speaking of fake it, let's do a little bit of the fake it. Here's a little trick for you. If you're doing this already, you're having fun. If you're not, pay attention. So many of you are familiar with this style, the train, which is just a fun bluegrass style. You got your banjo player, and if you get the tempo up just right. So yes, we have the train on our EZ-10. All aboard! All right, turn that down just a bit. So before the fake it button was introduced, we used to try to teach students how to do a fiddle solo. and what we would say is something along the lines, it's really easy, all you have to do is, and then we would instruct. Now, you heard us say that before? Oh, it's really easy. All you have to do is, and a lot of times that's true, and then sometimes we say that, but when the student tries whatever it is we tell them, it's not as easy as we think it is. But here was the idea, is that if you just took a C, F, and G chord as an example, okay, and you took your right hand and you played the 3 notes that pertain to the chord, and you just, I guess for lack of better words, rotate them as quickly as possible and as in beat as possible, you'll get this really fancy fiddle solo. Now what I usually do, well, let me put on a fiddle first. Yeah. Okay, so how I would do it when I'm playing a song in the key of C is I would start my thumb on E, pointer on G, and the pinky on C. So I would do those 3 notes, and then I would go to F, and then G, that would be F, A, C, and then G would be G, B, D. Okay, so like this. And then there was another trick that I'll have to teach in another day. And some people were able to kind of do it, some people didn't, and when Fake It came along, it was kind of like, okay, now I can do it even better. So I'll do it both ways. But let's play a little music first. Okay, a little fiddle solo. I'm going to manually do it. Now watch. E, G, C, F, A, C, G, B, D. Easy, right? Or you put on the Fake It, find yourself 2 black notes. Play the chord in the song. That's it. that trick someday. What was I doing? Oh, more music. Woohoo! Well, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm having fun. All right. So many cool little things in here. I don't know if I'll be able to show everything today. There are some other great styles that are in here that I thought were just great styles to put on the instrument. One of them is actually, I think I got the music for right here. This is another one of those guitar styles. And when I put on, let's see here, ballad, guitarist, it comes up as 6/8. And when you listen to it in a major chord, it's actually kind of nice. Songs like Earth Angel works well with that. That's the first one coming to my mind. But if you take the same thing and do a minor chord, and the style is called 6/8 guitar. Okay, do it again. Here we go. Whoops. So many other cool signature styles in here. And of course, so many great piano styles and guitar styles. And this was actually, this one here was called Candelabra Piano, which features the styling of Liberace. Woohoo! Oh, well, I'm having a great time. I'm loving playing this instrument. It's been a while. The beautiful Lowrey EZ-10. I can go on and on and on and on. I'll finish up with a couple other of my favorite styles on here. One of my other favorite styles that they introduced was one called jazz guitar. which is just a real. Now I'm going to start off with just a guitar player, and then what I'm doing is I'm just reaching up and turning on the drummer and bringing the drummer in and making it a full band. You could have some fun with this. Here we go. I'm going to reach up and use some harmonies here. We have, I think there's 4 or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different harmonies on here. We have AOC, which is 3 notes with 1 finger. Duet, which is 2 notes with 1 finger. Open, which spreads the notes. You have octave duet, which plays basically an octave apart with 2 notes. Rock harmony, which is what they call 4ths and 5ths, which is commonly known as a guitar rock chord. And then you have the octave. Now I'm just going to put on a simple AOC. Woohoo! All right, I'll play one more for you. I was saying that, but I have a little chart here of all the styles, and I keep thinking, well, maybe I should play that one. Maybe I should play that one. I should play that one. But we'll have a little fun with this one here. We've got some great gospel styles. You've got your slower ones. You've got your soulful ones, your 3/4 soulful, and this one just simply called hand clapping. I want to thank you all for coming today and joining us on this week's product spotlight series on our Lowrey EZ-10. And we'll finish up a little gospel. Hand clapping, I'll do a little, whatever comes to mind at the point in time. I'll tell you what I did after I did it. Sometimes I don't know until I start. We hope you enjoyed this time with me today. And as always, keep playing, have some fun. Here we go. more harmony here. I'm going to try a different harmony here. Duet. Try a different preset. Oh no, those two will fake it first. All right, I just got an idea. A little transpose. Half up. All right. Rock and roll gospel. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed. Oh, I forgot to hand the plate around. I'll catch you next time. Thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed your time with me today. I enjoyed seeing your happy, smiley faces. And thank you for all that you do and all that you've done so much. We appreciate you so much. And have a wonderful, joyous afternoon and a great weekend. And see you real soon on Zoom.
Okay. Bye-bye.